So Barney, I mean, life's going on as usual. You did mention it's not that you had these total memory blockages of what happened, but you knew it would happen, but it wasn't dramatically affecting your lives. More, you're curious more than anything.
Curiosity.
At that point now, Walter Webb, representing NICAP, comes. Does he get involved in the picture?
He came and interviewed us a couple of times.
Interviews you. Walter's a very highly esteemed researcher, one of the original.
Yeah, but see, actually, I would say 3 weeks after this happened, the United States government got involved.
Mm-hmm. Did you notice anything strange, odd vehicles around your home where you followed?
No,
your prototypical Men in Black, did you see any of those?
No, they called us from Washington.
They were straightforward.
They heard about our experience, liked to meet us. They were scientists. They had an interest in UFOs. And so they came, and we had continuing contacts with them for years.
So
the United States government. One time we even got together and camped out with 26 of the top scientists in this country, and Jacques Vallée was one of them.
Wow. So there was no subversion or subterfuge going on with the government. They were straightforward out of curiosity, and then no one was mocking you or highly skeptical.
Oh, they were looking for information.
You know, and because this was a highly unique case, and it represented a different genre in the UFO phenomena, whereas it was a close encounter, I guess, of the third kind, or would you call it a fourth kind, where you were abducted? I know that those are the classifications given by Dr. Hynek.
But I know
it was a landed craft. You saw occupants and you went on board it.
Yep. And the men who came, got in touch with us, were from the White House, National Security Council, NASA, and let's see. Yeah. These were the top.
The big dogs.
Right. Right. And the first thing they said to us, stay away from the UFO organizations.
And that's, I'd like to reemphasize that to anybody listening at home today. Oh, good for you. You're your own person.
Like they said, we want to know the facts. Mm-hmm. And we don't want you even with the possibility of being influenced by something else. Mm-hmm. So stay right away. And I always have. Mm-hmm. And I still have contacts.
It gets to the spring of 1962. Problems start happening with Barney. What's going on with Barney?
Barney started to, his blood pressure was fluctuating, and he was having anxieties. Well, see, Barney was working a midnight shift, too. So he's driving to Boston, South Station, every night. Had to be there, I think, midnight. And, he's getting home, getting through, at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. He's trying to sleep during the day, and everything just built up. And he got sick physically. Mm-hmm.
Lack of sleep can compound itself.
Yeah.
At that point, did you equate that to the incident of September 19th? Did you think it was directly related? Was he having any sort of nightmares, or was he just couldn't get his sleep?
He couldn't sleep, and he was like, before we started going to Dr. Simon, he'd leave here, start to drive into Boston to go to work, turn around, come home. And he'd just say, I can't do it. I'm too exhausted. I don't feel good.
Enter Dr. Simon.
And then, no, he wasn't. He was going to his regular family doctor, who's prescribing medications and all, trying to treat him, and he's not improving. So his doctor thought maybe he had some kind of emotional problem that was preventing him from healing. So he sent him into a psychiatrist in the same office building he was in. So Barney started going to Dr. Stevens on a regular basis, talking about his childhood and his mother and his father and all. And one day Dr. Stevens said, what did you do this weekend? And Barney told him we went up in the White Mountains looking for UFOs. And then Barney told him. And he's the one who referred us to Dr. Benjamin Simon, who had been one of his teachers in medical school.
Dr. Simon puts both of you under hypnosis, records...
Now, let me get straight about hypnosis. Mm-hmm. What you hear and what you see is stage hypnosis. We had medical hypnosis, which is the kind that's used in surgery.
medical hypnosis, it's a highly trained psychologist
don't
or
know.
doctor as opposed to a charlatan with a watch dangling back and forth.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And Dr. Simon, at the end of World War II, had been the director of the Mason General Hospital in New York City for the treatment of servicemen coming back from World War II who had emotional problems. And he was so highly successful using medical hypnosis that the U.S. Army did a documentary of Dr. Simon's work. And in the beginning it was 2 hours long. But then, in 1980, around there somewhere, they shortened the film to 1 hour, and it was shown at public PBS stations, and the name of the film is Let There Be Light. And if you could get a hold of it, it is one of the greatest things you ever saw.
So this man is has a lot of badges, I guess, in the field
Dr. Simon?
of his field of psychiatry, but he's not somebody that would lead questions. He's like you said, he had brought a lot of men out of battle fatigue that were emotionally scarred in combat,
Yeah.
and the casualties in World War I alone of shell shock.
Yeah.
That men, if they had been treated by trained physicians, and they could have been saved and
Well,
almost
for
been brought back to normality.
In this film, there's a serviceman who's brought in a wheelchair. He cannot walk. Now, he'd been hit by shrapnel. It all had been removed. There was no reason in the world why he couldn't walk, except he couldn't. So he's lying on the bed. Dr. Simon puts in medical hypnosis. And he says to him, get up and walk. He says, jumps out of bed and walks. And he's walking around the room, and he goes over to the nurse, and he's crying, and he's saying, look, I can walk. I can really walk. Dr. Simon puts him back in the bed, brings him out of the hypnosis, and the first thing this patient does is he looks at Dr. Simon, real worried look in his face, and he says, do you think I'll ever be able to walk? And Dr. said, I'm sure you will. And at the end of the movie, it shows him outdoors playing baseball.
So Dr. Simon could help people will their way through agony.
Right?
This is brought to the public's attention in 1968 or 69 when a movie is made. When you were known, obviously, through newspaper accounts, but you were brought worldwide, I guess, publicity or maximum publicity when the movie was made.
No, in 1965, reporter from Boston newspaper heard about our experience, and without ever meeting us, published it for 5 days on the front pages of the newspaper. It went all over the world at that moment.
Without having met you, he took
never
liberties.
met us.
He took liberties with the story, and there were some inaccuracies.
Yep.
Like, what's...
Well, he was pretty accurate. I was amazed. I still don't know where his source was.
Can you do you think that maybe one of your government contacts had leaked this information to him and had orchestrated somehow to get this to the public consciousness?
I never thought of that. I don't know.
Okay. What myths do you want to dispel about your encounter and things that they fail to mention? Either they fail to mention when people think about the UFO incident with you and Barney, and what are some myths that you'd like to dispel about that? If you can think of any liberties. I've learned some stuff, for instance, tonight. I always thought that they were almond-shaped entities with the alien. You said no, they were very much human-like. They spoke to you verbally as opposed to telepathically.
Right. And we had a great time.
And you had a great time?
Wait a minute, I'll go get Junior so you can see what Junior looks like.
Okay, sure.
Another thing, I never called them aliens.
What did you call beings? What was your...
Astronauts. I call them what they were. Astronauts.
Okay, sure. That's what they are. I mean,
right. So this is Junior. Now, this is a sort of a composite of what they look. There's individual differences. They do not look alike. There's as much difference among them as there is around any group of people. But this basically shows the characteristics: the larger eyes, nose, mouth, no protruding part, no hair. But this is because he fell off the podium in St. Louis.
Oh.
And cracked his head.
Okay.
I have this reoccurring dream. It's been a little while, since it come to me, forever stored in my memory, ready at any moment to come back and haunt me and make me question and make me question and make me question reality. Everyone in the neighborhood wakes up at dawn and floods the streets. Everyone looks up simultaneously. Little flying saucers about